Right now, there are um, millions of fully built, perfectly functional websites just sitting in the dark that have basically never made a single dollar.
Oh, absolutely. Millions, just gathering digital dust.
Right. And I mean, there are massive hard drives filled with abandoned online courses, thousands of unlisted YouTube channels, and just endless spreadsheets mapping out these brilliant real estate empires that, never acquired a single property.
It really is a massive graveyard. And what makes it so fascinating to study is how entirely quiet it is.
Yeah, quiet is the perfect word for it. Today we're doing a deep dive into the invisible graveyard of passive income. Because, well, everyone loves the universal dream of making money while you sleep.
Of course, it's the ultimate pitch. But when a traditional brick-and-mortar business fails, you see it. The doors are locked, the inventory is liquidated, there's a tangible, visible moment of collapse.
Right, there's a closing down sale.
Exactly. But when you step into the world of passive income, that dramatic explosion almost never happens.
The stream just quietly dries up. I mean, the creator simply stops logging in one day. So our mission today is based on a really fascinating, highly analytical video essay. We're just going to refer to it as Video 6 for this discussion that exposes a pretty massive taboo in the financial space.
It really gets to the core of it, yeah.
It does. We want to dissect exactly why most passive income ideas fail, so you, listening right now, can avoid ending up in that invisible graveyard.
Okay.
Let's unpack this because the irony here is just staggering.
It really is.
Most of the highly successful creators in the passive income space, they failed multiple times with real money, with real hope. They lost capital, they burned thousands of hours, and dealt with this crushing disappointment. Yet, they almost never talk about it.
Well, that silence isn't necessarily a malicious attempt to, hide a dark past or sell an illusion. It actually happens because people fundamentally misunderstand the anatomy of failure in this specific world.
What do you mean by the anatomy of failure?
So, because the failure doesn't announce itself with a bankruptcy filing or a big dramatic event, people don't even realize they are failing until long after the process has already taken hold. They just quietly fade out of the effort.
Wow, so they don't even know they've failed until months later.
Right, so to fix that failure, we have to move past simply recognizing that it's a quiet process. We have to diagnose the psychological loop that's actually causing it.
And Video 6 maps this out perfectly. We transition from the quiet nature of failure into this specific, predictable pattern that traps almost everyone. It's called the enthusiasm trap.
The enthusiasm trap, yes. And it destroys passive income dreams before they ever truly become real. It breaks down into 4 distinct stages that literally hijack our neurochemistry.
Okay, lay them out for us. Stage 1.
Stage 1 is discovery. This is the exact moment you stumble onto the idea. You're scrolling on your phone, you see a breakdown on dropshipping or YouTube or affiliate marketing, and it just clicks for you.
You get incredibly excited.
Super excited. But the psychological danger here is that your brain is immediately flooding your system with dopamine. It masquerades that raw emotional excitement as actual, tangible momentum.
Yes. I kept thinking about stage 1 like buying a fancy new gym membership.
Oh, that is a perfect analogy.
Right. You swipe your credit card, they hand you that little scan tag for your keychain, and as you walk out to your car, you literally feel fitter.
You haven't done anything yet.
Exactly. I haven't lifted a single weight, my heart rate hasn't even gone up, but the excitement of the potential outcome tricks my brain into feeling like I've already made physical progress.
Yeah, that phenomenon is actually called dopamine decoupling. You are getting the neurochemical reward of the result without enduring the actual friction of the process.
Dopamine decoupling, wow.
Right, and that high carries you right into stage 2, which is action. You start setting things up, you're configuring software, you're designing a nice little brand kit, building out the basic architecture of the business.
It feels incredibly meaningful simply because the tasks are new.
Exactly. Novelty feels like traction. But then you run headfirst into a brick wall, which is stage 3, the plateau.
Ah, the dreaded plateau, where dreams go to die.
Pretty much. The newness evaporates, the initial setup is done, and now the friction really sets in. The intense effort you're putting into the project no longer matches the results you're getting.
Which at this stage are almost always zero, right?
Literally zero. The emotional reward of doing something novel vanishes completely. You aren't an excited entrepreneur riding a wave of discovery anymore. You're just a person doing raw, unglamorous, highly repetitive work.
And the dopamine is just gone.
Completely gone.
So what does this all mean for people constantly stuck in this loop? Because, I mean, we all know someone, or maybe we are that someone who has a drawer full of domain names they bought but, never launched.
What's fascinating here is how human psychology consistently conflates emotional excitement with business viability. We are evolutionarily wired to follow dopamine.
So when the dopamine drops,
Exactly. When the dopamine of the new idea suddenly flatlines in stage 3, our brains signal a false alarm. We interpret that lack of internal excitement as a lack of external viability.
oh wow, we assume the idea itself is broken.
Right. Most people spend their entire professional lives bouncing perpetually between stages 1 and 2. They just live in the thrill of discovery and the busy work of early action, totally avoiding the necessary friction of the plateau.
And that leads right to stage 4, which is the exit.
Yeah, the creator quits.
Or they pivot, right, which is usually just a sterilized word for quitting. They blame the search algorithm, they say the niche is too saturated, and they abandon the project, only to start the whole cycle over again with a new idea.
But the devastating truth that Video 6 points out is that the other side of stage 3 is where passive income actually lives.
You just have to survive the plateau.
Hmm.
But, as the source points out, surviving the trap requires more than just knowing it's there. We have to look at the first critical misstep people make within that trap.
Right, because you can be fully aware of the plateau and still set yourself up to fail from day 1 by picking the wrong tool for the job.
The mismatch between resources and reality.
Exactly. Let's look at the mechanics of choosing the wrong vehicle. Video 6 gives some great examples. Take dividend investing.
Right.
Mathematically, the yield on cost only makes sense if you already have massive upfront liquidity.
Right, if you have $500,000 laying around.
Exactly. If you're starting with a few $1,000s, a 4% annual yield is not life-changing passive income. I mean, it barely covers a streaming subscription.
The vehicle is sound, but it requires significant capital as the fuel.
Precisely. Or look at rental income. That requires a hefty down payment, debt leverage, and a lot of risk tolerance. On the other side of the spectrum, you have content creation.
Which doesn't require a lot of capital.
Right, but it demands an astronomical amount of time and consistency over years. Or digital products like high-ticket courses or specialized software, those require an existing, trusting audience to sell to.
Okay, but wait, let me pause you there. Because I know what you, the listener, are probably thinking right now. Because I thought the exact same thing when I was reviewing the source.
What's that?
Isn't the entire foundational pitch of passive income that literally anyone can start right now? I mean, the whole internet is screaming, start today with $0 and zero experience. Are we saying that's just a complete lie?
This raises an important question about the marketing of financial freedom versus the reality of execution. You can start something with $0, but you absolutely cannot start everything with $0.
That is a huge distinction.
It is. Starting a passive income stream without the right corresponding resources is, well, to use the analogy from the text, it's like trying to drive a high-performance car with absolutely no fuel in the tank.
Right, the engine isn't broken.
The transmission is fine. There is nothing wrong with the vehicle itself. You just pick the exact wrong time in your life to try and drive it.
So if you have zero audience and zero distribution channels, a high-priced digital product is basically a car with no fuel.
Exactly. You are guaranteed to hit stage 4 and quit. Which forces us to look at the invisible work that powers these vehicles. Every single passive income stream has an intensely active upfront phase.
A massive block of heavy, entirely uncompensated work.
Yes. Work that must be completed before a single dollar becomes passive. And this exposes a really dangerous gap between our intellect and our emotions.
So.
Intellectually, if you sit someone down and ask them, hey, will building a massive software platform take time and hard work? They will immediately say yes.
Of course. They understand it logically.
But emotionally, when they are 80 hours deep into coding or they've spent 3 weeks editing a video that gets like 14 views, panic takes over.
Right. Intellectually, it's a marathon. Emotionally, at mile 3, your central nervous system is screaming that you are in physical danger and you need to stop.
That's exactly it. People simply do not respect the active phase enough to push through it. They allow the temporary, totally expected lack of visible results to dictate their permanent actions.
They assume the vehicle is broken instead of realizing they're still just in the active construction phase.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's assume someone actually pushes through that dark period.
Right.
They survive the active phase, They've audited their resources, they picked the exact right vehicle.
Okay, best case scenario.
They still usually end up killing the project because human nature abhors a vacuum. Once we get a little momentum, the brain's next defense mechanism is this panic-induced multitasking.
Oh, yeah. We start inventing things to do to feel productive.
Right, which brings us to the next massive hurdle from the video: how you manage your effort, the myth of early diversification.
This is such a common trap. It sounds incredibly sophisticated to say, oh, I'm building multiple income streams.
Right, it sounds like you're hedging your bets, protecting your downside. 5 income streams sounds a lot safer than 1.
It sounds safer, sure, but the math of execution tells a completely different story.
Break that math down for us.
Well, 5 different income streams getting 20% of your focus and effort is absolutely not the equivalent of 1 income stream getting 100% of your effort. It's a recipe for total stagnation.
Because you never break through.
Right. To build something that operates passively, you have to reach escape velocity. If a rocket uses its limited fuel to fire 5 different engines in 5 opposite directions, it never leaves the launch pad.
It just burned through its resources and sits there making a lot of noise.
Exactly. You need all of that thrust focused entirely on a single point to break the gravity of the active phase. The people who actually pull this off build one single thing completely, systematize it, and only then do they ever dream of adding a second stream.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting though. Let's say you do focus. You put all your energy into one single project. You can still systematically dismantle your own success by mismanaging your timeline.
The measurement fallacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can destroy a perfectly working project by obsessively measuring it too early. Video 6 uses this amazing seed analogy.
Oh, I love the seed analogy.
It's so good. It's like, think about planting a seed in the ground. You water it, you make sure it gets sunlight, but then because you are so anxious for a harvest, you dig it up every 3 days just to check if the roots are growing.
You are actively intervening in the exact process you are trying to cultivate.
Right. You're the one killing it. The seed wasn't dead, the soil wasn't bad. Your anxiety over the measurement process destroyed the growth.
And this maps perfectly onto our modern, hyper-anxious urge to constantly refresh our analytics dashboard.
Oh, guilty.
Or checking Stripe accounts daily, or monitoring organic search traffic every 5 minutes.
Why do we do that? Why are we so prone to digging up the seed?
Well, it comes down to societal conditioning. We are trained by almost every other aspect of the modern economy to measure results in micro increments.
That makes sense. You work a corporate job for 2 weeks, you get a paycheck.
Right, you pay for a service, you get immediate access, you clean your kitchen, it is immediately visibly clean. We expect this linear relationship between time spent and results achieved.
But passive income doesn't work like that.
Not at all. It operates on an exponential delayed curve. The results only reveal themselves in years, not weeks. So the failure isn't a lack of actual growth. The failure is the radically mismatched timeline of our measurement.
We apply a weekly measuring stick to a multi-year biological process. We panic at the lack of movement, and we dig up the seed.
Exactly. We self-sabotage.
So if you look at the landscape we've mapped out so far,
Yeah.
we have the dopamine trap of discovery.
Yep.
Picking a vehicle without having the fuel. Panicking during the invisible active phase. Diluting our focus across multiple projects. And obsessively measuring our progress on the wrong timeline.
It's a minefield.
It really is.
Yeah.
But this deep dive argues that all of these tactical errors actually stem from a much deeper, fundamentally flawed mindset.
The foundation of it all.
Right. They are symptoms of building for money instead of building for value.
This is the critical linchpin of the entire analysis in Video 6. Any income stream built purely and exclusively to generate cash for the creator will inevitably collapse under its own weight.
Because it's structurally unsound.
Exactly. The reason is simple mechanics. Money follows value. It never leads it.
So if your entire internal motivation is just, I want to make $1,000 a month while I sleep, you are completely skipping the part of the equation where you provide utility to someone who's awake.
Precisely. You have to solve an actual problem. You have to reduce friction in another human being's life, or entertain them or educate them in a way they cannot easily get elsewhere.
Because if the value isn't there, the money has literally no path to follow.
Which brings us to the core paradigm shift that really reorients how we should view this entire space. People end up in the invisible graveyard because they treat passive income like a destination.
Right, like a geographic location on a map.
Yeah, you either arrive there or you don't.
You're either on the beach sipping a drink or you're stuck in traffic commuting to an office.
But it is not a destination, it is a construction project. It's a complex structure you have to build brick by single brick, day after grueling day.
You need a blueprint.
You need a detailed blueprint, you need raw materials, and you need the immense, quiet patience to follow that blueprint, even when the building is just a dirt hole in the ground and doesn't look like much to the outside world.
That framing completely changes how you view the daily grind. Just reflecting on the sheer grit required to pull this off. The winners in this space, the ones who actually achieve that financial autonomy, they rarely have the flashiest, most genius ideas.
Rarely.
They were simply the builders who showed up to the construction site every single day. They showed up when it rained. They showed up when the scaffolding hid all the progress from everyone walking by. They just kept laying bricks.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a profoundly liberating truth for anyone listening who might be struggling with a project right now.
What's that?
The specific idea you have is almost never the actual problem. The failure rate of the idea is statistically irrelevant. Execution is the problem.
Execution is the problem.
And execution is the single variable in this entire complex equation that is entirely 100% within your control.
That is deeply empowering, but man, it also strips away all of our favorite excuses, doesn't it?
It really does. You can't blame the economy or the algorithm or the idea anymore. The responsibility is entirely on the builder.
Because the landscape is guaranteed to shift. 10 years from now, the digital platforms we use today might be completely obsolete.
Oh, they probably will be. The distribution algorithms will be unrecognizable. There will be entirely new, highly complex ways to build income streams that we literally can't even conceptualize right now.
But the core underlying reason for failure will remain exactly the same.
People will stop showing up to the construction site before the roof is on the building.
All right, so let's distill all of this abstract psychology and strategy into a concrete, actionable blueprint for you, the listener. How do we actually bypass the graveyard?
Well, based on everything we've unpacked, you can start doing things differently today by following a sequential process from the source. Step 1. Pick one stream. Just one.
Let go of the empire-building fantasy for now.
Exactly. Put all of your thrust into one engine to break gravity.
Makes sense. Okay, step 2 is the reality check. You have to match that single stream to your current actual resources.
Run a brutal audit on your capital, your free time, and your existing network. If you only have time, build a vehicle that runs on time. Do not try to drive a high-performance car with an empty fuel tank.
Right. Step 3 requires putting the shovel away. Commit to a minimum timeline of 12 to 18 months before you even allow yourself to evaluate if the project is quote-unquote working.
Stop digging up the seed to check the roots. Let the multi-year process actually take root.
Step 4 is shifting your metrics. In the early stages, completely ignore the financial dashboard.
Yes, measure the value you're creating instead. Ask yourself, is the solution I built today slightly better at solving my target audience's problem than the solution I had yesterday?
Because if the value is compounding, the money will eventually find its way there.
Exactly. And finally, step 5. Protect your focus like it is the absolute most valuable asset you own in the world.
Because if you want to build a truly autonomous income, your focus is the only thing that will get you through the plateau. Your initial idea is probably perfectly fine. You don't need a new one. You just have to stay at the construction site long enough to find out.
It ultimately requires completely rewiring your relationship with time, effort, and delayed gratification.
It really does. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to chew on. Something that builds on that heavy insistence on putting value first.
Okay.
If building true, long-lasting passive income requires a relentless, almost obsessive focus on providing value to others, rather than just extracting money for yourself, then perhaps the ultimate bulletproof, quote-unquote, passive asset isn't a specific business model at all.
Interesting.
Right? It's not a perfectly optimized digital storefront or a brilliant real estate portfolio.
So if the model itself isn't the asset, what is the bedrock?
Perhaps the true underlying asset is the cumulative trust and reputation you build with other human beings over a lifetime of solving their problems.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
That deep earned trust is a currency that outlasts any single platform collapse, any unannounced algorithm update, or any passing macroeconomic trend. When you have a reputation for immense value, people will follow you to whatever new vehicle you build.
That is so true.
And the beautiful thing about building that kind of bulletproof trust, much like the quiet failure we talked about at the very beginning of this deep dive, the process of building reputation is also entirely quiet.
It doesn't announce itself with a parade or a viral moment.
Nope. It happens invisibly, day by day, brick by brick, one authentically solved problem at a time.
Until one day you look up and the structure you've built can withstand absolutely anything.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep building.